And we're doing well. We're on schedule here. According to schedule, I have 5 minutes here to tell you about the future and where I think we're going after the lab. So one of the things that has been great about having the lab embedded as part of the clinical program here at the university, and that being more than just a class, is sort of the support that comes with that and the larger scale thinking that we're able to look at. Also myself being a member of the university here, it means my work with the students can help inform my scholarship and where I want to go. One of the things that's an important through line for all the work that you saw from the students is that they're all using, for the most part, open tools, and which is to say open source tools or free tools. That means that all of the solutions they're providing to their clients are something that are very easy for them to be able to use and implement right away. So Nicole's is, I think, the perfect example in that, and they're all going to be working on producing, we have a couple more weeks left in the semester, producing documentation on how you could go about doing these things yourself. So what we want to do is we want to share that knowledge because that's going to be the thing that helps us move forward as a profession. But yeah, the Nicole's example there where you're just using sort of a Airtable and we're hosting the app on a GitHub page means that any law office or legal aid agency, if you can put together a spreadsheet with resources that you want, and you want a little mobile-friendly search tool, then you can make one for free using the skills we've put together here, which is just, I think, a big win. So open tools is important. But now I want to just take a moment to dream. So since the dawn of humanity, we have been tool builders and storytellers. Isn't the fire the perfect visual metaphor for that? Tool building and technology and storytelling all in one. So one of the things that you will have noticed, and especially in some of these sort of Q&A tools that have been talked about, is the use of expert systems, which are really just sort of decision trees, flowcharts. And there are a lot of excellent tools. In fact, one of the folks from A to J Author is here. John Mayer's out there. And they've had excellent success in getting courts to adopt guided interviews to help do things like fill out forms and streamline the court process. Expert systems have a couple of traditional issues. And some of those are that they're complex, right? You saw that decision tree. That's a mess, right? Someone has to put that knowledge in there. So getting the information in there is really hard. And then, once something breaks, if one of those little rules breaks, everything after that breaks. So they're fragile. So what we want to do is help build tools and foster a community that's going to allow us to work with that in a more reasonable way. So this always brings me back to my big hobby horse. Here's a Tower of Babel, which is the idea that a lot of us are reinventing the wheels, doing things over and over, the same thing over and over again, and we're not coordinating in the way we should, or the way that would be effective. So what I'd like to do, and this is sort of like a little sort of like light ask throw out there for you, and if you don't want to think about it as an ask, it's what we're going to be doing, and we hope you'll join us, is that we want to build a community of folks who are interested in building some of these expert systems. And to solve that upkeep problem, we want to sort of federate that. So the idea is you have, as with Michael and Alessandra's work, you might have people who take care of, I'm going to do SNAP benefits, and I'm going to do some other set of benefits. And you can have people who adopt little nodes of expertise. And a very important thing here is to keep a attorney in the loop, right? So we want to make sure that these are not just things that someone's putting out there, but that could be adopted by something like an institutional home, like a clinic or a legal aid agency, and so they can maintain the quality of that logic. And we've had a lot of success with teaching students how to use Q&A. We teach all the 1Ls to do it in about 20 or 30-minute class. So it's a very easy way to get the information in there. And then the next step is for us to use some of our machine learning chops and to go beyond that. So it's not just, okay, well, we know if you do SNAP, then after SNAP, we're going to send you over to do fuel assistance. You can actually start to take the information from, and this is where I throw up an equation. People remember this, right? Good old learned hand. So, you've got your the burden, and if it's less than the probability of the loss, and I know people probably expect, like, no, I don't. But this is a very simple statement about expectation values, which is to say that you can start to think about how much is something worth, what's the likelihood that that's going to happen, and that can tell you something about how you should prioritize things and whether or not it's worth your time. So imagine, if you will, instead of thinking about burdens, we think about utility. So imagine that decision tree. You can go down one path, and down on this end, you get to this end, great, you get benefits. This other path, no benefits. What that means is there's a utility that you get to one end, and there's a utility at the other. One's zero, one's like $250. And there's going to be a probability that you're going to end up at one of those ends. And that probability is going to be determined based upon, or quantifiable based upon, your answers to previous questions, like what's your income, et cetera, et cetera. So what we want to do is we want to take those Q&As, that same tool that people are doing now, take that information, mine it, and then be able to use it to say, hey, if you finish this one on LIHEAP, on fuel assistance, based upon your answers, we think the most useful one for you next is going to be SNAP. And what that means is you don't have to have someone who says, when you get to this one, go here. What you're going to do is you're going to hand it off to an algorithm that will look at the historic data. So what we have to do as practitioners is just maintain our own areas of excellence. And what a user sees is just a natural, oh, this is the most important thing, this is the next important thing. And then that also has some fault tolerance, so that if one of these things falls out, we don't have to go back and rework all the connections. That can just be removed automatically. So this is the sort of thing we're talking about. This is sort of very early stages. But the thing is that many hands make light work. And what we want to do is build a community of people who are thinking together and working together to work where their expertise is to deliver solutions that can be helpful to our end users, whether or not that be paraprofessionals in our own agency to navigate our own processes, or potential clients in a triage situation. If you're interested, if any of that sounds interesting, then let us know, because we would love to work with you to help you, show you how to do this, and to partner with you to do that as well. That being said, if there are any questions, we're going to have, you can hit us up on Twitter. We've been tweeting out links to all of the student projects. So you can find that there at the Suffolk Lit Lab Twitter handle, as well as at the Clinovation hashtag. And we are actually on time, which is kind of amazing.